The first thing my husband said to me, actually I was standing next to the person to whom this was addressed.
It wasn't addressed at you. I wasn't talking to you.
This is the history of our lives together. The first thing he said to me was, "Who the hell does that goddamn Mary Dee Benish think she is?" And my friend said, "I don't know, why don't you ask her?" At which point, he did sort of a little bit of a soft shoe, like, "Oh, I knew you were there the whole time, I knew it was you." Of course, he had no clue who it was.
Listen.
It's true, it's true.
What happened was that a couple of my old roommates wanted me to help them find dates for homecoming. Before you know it, this thing mushroomed, and all of a sudden, I have to have sheets of paper with guys and gals and different sheets, and I'm matching people up. A good friend of hers, who actually was the matron of honor at our wedding, Susie Hill, said, "Can you find my friend Mary Dee Benish a date for homecoming?" She was going out with a guy, and
she's not going out with him anymore.
And he's going to be a daddy to somebody else. And so can you help her? I said, "Sure, I'll find her a date." And there was this guy, and no kidding, this was really his name, John Smith.
John Smith.
And I said, "Tell your friend Mary Dee that I've got her a date. She can go with John Smith, and he's a really nice guy. She'll like him." Well, come to find out that she knows him from her hometown. They're both from the same town.
You asked me, "Why won't you go with John Smith?" And I said, "Because I know John Smith and I'd rather stay home."
That's what she said.
It's true.
So I said, "Well, good." That's when I said what I
you can
said
stay home.
to her friend, not to her, about this girl who I'd never met, who I was trying to find a date for a guy I knew. Well, she said she'd rather stay home. And she said, "Besides, I know John Smith and his history. He probably won't show up for whoever you get him a date with." And sure enough, he didn't show up for the gal. I then, after I did this little soft shoe that she was talking about, proceeded to, at the
Cross
intersection.
me off the list.
So there was this guy, he was driving me crazy to find him a date. So I said, "Oh, this will be perfect. This is a match made in heaven." So I tell Susie, "I found your friend another date." And I told, what's her name?
Janie Jacoby.
Janie Jacoby. I told her too. I said, "You know, I got her a nice guy." We arranged for the two of them to meet in the lower level of the library, the Chester Fritz Memorial Library at the University of North Dakota. So now we're ready to leave. We're in the law review office, and this guy, Jim Bailey, says, "Well, come on, it's time to go." I said, "What do you mean, time to go?" I said, "It's time for you to go." I said, I'm staying here. I've got more things to do." And he says, "Oh, I can't go by myself." He says, "You have to." I said, "How juvenile can you get? You know, go and meet the gal." Well, I don't even know what she looks like. She's going to be sitting at the back of the library. You won't have any trouble. She's got a green sweater on. I'm told she's going to be wearing a green sweater. So he said, I can't go. You got to, oh. All right. So I walk over with him, and we start talking loud enough so that the librarian decides she has to evict us from the library. By this time, the wife of another law student comes in, and Mary Haar, who happened to be from Harvey.
And was married to Henry Halverson.
Mary Halverson from Harvey. She said, "Well, we have to go, so why don't we go get a cup of coffee?" And Mary Dee, being the shy, retiring person that she is, said, "Why don't we go have a beer?" And so we wound up going and have a beer. And then I made some comment that I found her attractive too. I told this.
We were sitting in this banquet, and I think it was Sal, Mary, me, Jim Bailey. Poor Jim Bailey didn't have a clue what was going on between Sal and Mary and me. I mean, he was totally clueless. So by the end of the night, Sal was saying, "Well, I'm going to call you tomorrow." that was the beginning. That was how we met.
I wound up coming home to Buffalo for the holidays, and outside of that, I don't think there's too many days that went by that we didn't see one another.
Well, we met in October and we got married in May.
Although I did have a job in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and she was headed for Denver when this all started, so who knows where fate would have taken us if our paths hadn't crossed, but I'm sure glad they did cross. We've had 55 years now. When it was 54, I don't know how she feels today, but when it was 54 years, she would tell people that it was 27 of the happiest years of her life, but she wouldn't tell me or anybody else in which order.
Well, I always say you'd pick a few days here, a few days there, you get a good run, and you add it all together, and you come up to 27. I grew up in Bismarck, North Dakota. Went to the University of North Dakota, which is where Sal and I met. He was in law school and I was in undergraduate school. We got excellent educations and then we left the state. And I was intending when I graduated to go, as Sal said, to Denver, possibly to Minnesota. But in any event, Sal and I met the beginning of my senior year, and so that changed everything. We got married at the end of my senior year. We moved to Buffalo. The first summer that we were here, Sal was studying for the bar exam. I didn't have a job until the fall teaching school in the city of Tonawanda. Sal was able to help me get a job. I was a lifeguard and I had many years of lifeguarding experience. I taught swimming in the Buffalo City schools that summer at School 38, I think it was, on the west side. And they paid me in 1967, now you can figure out how old I am. They paid me in 1967, I think $6 an hour.
Big time money.
Big time money. So I taught school 2 years in the city of Tonawanda. I taught a year of school in East Aurora. I taught English, senior high school and junior high school and high school English. Our oldest daughter was born and then I went back for another year of teaching, and I did not like teaching. I found the regimentation to be very inhibiting. The last year that I taught, I ate lunch at 10:15 in the morning. And I just thought, I don't want to do this the rest of my life. And I'd been watching Sal and his young colleagues and partners practicing law and seeming to have such a good time. And Sal kept encouraging me, go to law school, go to law school. And I'm thinking, no. But anyway, I did go to law school. I went to UB.
She started with 2 children, one of whom was a toddler, finished with 3 children, graduated 1 course short of graduating with honors, got up, changed the diapers, did the bottles, passed the bar exam the first time. So proud of her. So proud of her accomplishments.
Graduated from law school. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I wasn't real concerned about finding a job because I had a husband who was supporting us. So frankly, I didn't have to worry about it too much. I didn't worry about law review or any of the rest of it. The first job offer I got was to do trial work, which had been the one thing I thought I did not want to do. And it was working for Allstate Insurance Company, defending people with Allstate Insurance who got sued mostly as a result of minor car accidents. But I took the job. I interviewed. They asked me how much money I wanted to earn. I gave them a number that I thought was outrageous, and they said okay. And so I started practicing, trying cases, going into courtrooms, and that was really a good part of my career, and I enjoyed it tremendously. I'm happy not to be practicing law anymore, not to have the pressures of going into the courtroom and representing clients, and I'm very much enjoying being an old retired lady.
When she stopped working for Allstate, she had a couple of other tremendous assignments. One of the things she did was to work at a terrific boutique firm, Dempsey & Dempsey, where they did a lot of medical malpractice case in addition to personal injury. And Mary Dee became the person who dealt with brain-damaged baby cases. The truth of the matter is that is gut-wrenching work. You're either with children who've deceased or who are permanently, seriously disabled, You're dealing with frazzled, hysterical parents half the time who are living this nightmare of trying to either overcome the loss of a child and she did it so well. And there's such difficult cases to prove.
And sadly, very often, in my experience, the people who are the victims of malpractice, medical malpractice, are generally people who don't have good health care. For a variety of different reasons, they don't have financial resources, they don't have access to good health care, and those are the folks who end up being the victims of medical malpractice. And then, of course, they're also the people who have the least in the way of resources to handle the injuries that result. So it's a very fraught situation.
I just want to point out that at this point, Mary Dee's career took another right turn, and she went from doing this kind of medical malpractice work to being the chief lawyer and then chief of staff, really, in the surrogates court of Erie County, where she worked first for Judge Joe Mattina and then for Judge Howe. One of her great successes there was really organizing files which had been allowed to build up mostly on the floor, and it hadn't, because there wasn't the personnel to take care of them. So Mary Dee got it all arranged and digitized and state of the art, and then there was this hiring freeze and this terrible financial disaster in the city, and they undid all of her good work. And luckily by that time she had put her keys on the desk and turned off the
lights, walked out the door. Haven't missed it. I've missed the people, some of the people, not all of them, but I don't miss the work. I have lived with a man who is very interesting. He is endlessly curious. He motivates people to do things that they don't think I want to do sometimes, or that they don't think they're capable of doing. I'm confident that without Sal's encouragement, I never would have become a lawyer. Just made my life so much more interesting than if I had stayed as a dissatisfied school teacher.
It's been a ride. We have had experiences that I couldn't have imagined, that my parents would never believe.
He has created a very interesting, diverse, challenging life for me and provided me with the opportunity for growth and to do a lot of different and exciting things that, is there somebody else out there who might have provided the same opportunities? How do I know? I don't know. But I know that I made the right choice when I married Sal.